Singapore Ministry of Education says, we want to help our young to build up a set of sound values so they have the strength of character and the resilience to deal with life's inevitable setbacks without being unduly discouraged, so that they have the willingness to work hard to achieve their dreams. And as the Singaporean and individual citizen, education does two things. It develops the individual and educates the citizen. And the foundation of a person, it says, is his values. From these spring his outlook on life and his goals in life, and together with the home, our schools of Singapore have to work carefully and painstakingly to shape the what? The morals of our children. The outcomes of education, it says, the following shows what we want to expect from our children when they graduate from an institute of technical education, polytechnics, or universities. The first one, it says, to be morally upright, be culturally rooted, yet understanding and respecting differences, be responsible to community, family, and country, be committed to improving our society. Be willing to strive, take pride in work, value working with others, be able to think, reason, and deal confidently with the future, have courage and conviction in facing adversity. Just all examples of what the Singapore Ministry of Education believes about the importance and value of character. The former Ministry of Education said that the character and attitudes and values of our young are essential aspects we have to mold and nurture, said in March of 2007. And it's an important objective in our educational system. We need to approach it systematically. For such programs to be successful, a total approach where opportunities for character development permeate different aspects of the school curriculum and environment is needed. That's what I intend to share with you over these 2 days, is this exactly how to be able to permeate all the aspects of your school life, your classroom, your total school, your programs, working with parents. Every experience a child goes through, be it the classroom lessons, the various relationships, the disciplinary measures, co-curriculars, each have an impact on what? The development of a child's character, values, and disposition. And in training our teachers, it's not sufficient to provide them only with competencies in subject knowledge and pedagogical skills. They also must be equipped with the skills to shape values and social-emotional competence of our students. It's critical. A lot of times we don't may not assume the fact that we have to train or help to train teachers to teach character. That's what this is being said up there. I value reading. I love to read. But I can't teach reading. My daughter's the reading specialist. I haven't been trained to teach reading. You may, as said, value character and the importance of what we just have shared with in terms of developing values within students. But I also believe that it's not just enough to be a person of character yourself or to have that importance, but we have to train people in how to integrate it into the life of the school. And that's the purpose of this training with you next to this seminar, is to help you train. And as I said, I've trained now probably 1,000 teachers or so in Singapore, not only here in this seminar, but at individual schools where the whole faculty is trained in a day on how to teach character. Dr. Thomas Lacona, as I said, who has come here twice and does Educating too, says this way: down through history, we really have two goals of education: to help children become smart, but also to become good. And character education, it's a life course trained journey that we're on. It's not something that happens rather quickly, even if it's done with consistency and the greatest of rigor. And to be successful, you've got to realize it requires some, on my mind, not just a very simply common sense as I used to think, well, anybody can do that. I taught character, I believe, my first years as a teacher. But what I have learned is it requires some theoretical clarity about what is character, what is character education, what's the difference between ethics and all values that are there, what values are important. So it has to have some theoretical clarity. It has to have in a school some implementation consistency, some unwavering confidence that this makes a difference in the lives of children and young people. And finally, it has to have some persistence over time. It's not a quick fix, a passing educational fad, or one that will kind of be just done by having a poster up on the wall. I guarantee you, wherever I work around this world, there are certain values that are important to be instilled in young people that will not go out of style. and the importance of having a common language around values will substantially increase the effectiveness of your message. Do you have values that are a part of your school curriculum? Are there values that are found in your mission statement? Or as I was coming here today, I saw a banner in front of a school and said, we value honesty, we value caring, we value responsibility, we value respect. Do you have values? Do you have a common language that you think has been developed somewhere within whatever school that you came from here today? What is the common language that you have around values? What is it that's important to your school? Okay. Back in the States, a friend of mine talks about common language. Sometime back, a terrible storm came through his community. It destroyed some buildings, homes, parks, even a couple of his schools. It really had an impact upon himself and his two young daughters. The two young daughters were kind of traumatized by this event, this storm, and they were afraid that something like this could happen and maybe mom and dad wouldn't be home. So the girls would go to their bedrooms at night and they'd go to sleep in their own beds, and somehow in the middle of the night, one of the girls would wake up and go out of her bed, wake up her sister, and they'd go down the hall and crawl into bed with Mark, my friend, and his wife. This went on for, about a week or so without ever having to seem to change, and they didn't know quite how to get the girls to sleep in their own beds. Well, Mark, the superintendent of schools, who has his two young daughters, had to travel out to the West Coast, to California, and went with another man, and before he left, he said to his two young daughters, I'll bring you presents back from California if you sleep in your own beds while I'm gone. The girls promised, and Mark went off to California. He came back a few days later, and his wife and these two daughters were at the airport to greet him, and they saw Dad coming down the concourse. And as soon as they saw their father, they were so excited. They ran as fast as they could, and at the top of their lungs they shouted, Daddy, Daddy, you're going to be so proud. No one slept with Mommy when you were out of town. Now in that crowded concourse, the only ones who understood the common language were Mark and his wife and two young daughters. Everybody else kind of wondered what was going on, particularly when Mark shouted back to his young daughters, I've got presents for everybody because no one slept with Mommy when I was out of town. Common language. So the first thing I want you to think about in terms of character and the values and the importance is having that common language. Having the common language. My guess is you've got it someplace in your school, and I heard what you talked about, but use that language. Use it and have an understanding of what it means to be a person of integrity, to persevere, to have courage, to be responsible, respectful. That's critical. Don't leave it up to chance.